Welcome to Funnel Hacker Radio Podcast, where we go behind the scenes and uncover the tactics and strategies top entrepreneurs are using to make more sales, dominate their markets, and how you can get those same results. Here is your host, Dave Woodward.
Hey everybody, welcome to Funnel Hacker Radio Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Woodward, and today you guys are going to be so excited. This is a guy you have seen. If you've been in ClickFunnels, you've seen him a ton, but only by his fun little avatar. Welcome, Mark Bangerter.
Hey Dave, how you doing?
I'm super excited. You know, the funniest thing about this, for those of you guys who are listening, is Mark and I both are Southern California boys who both ended up moving to Boise, I think literally within about a month of each other.
I think it was more like a week, Dave.
Was it a week?
Yeah.
And we're actually recording this podcast because our office is literally across the hall from each other. So we are very, very close.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just so excited to have you on the call. I've been trying to get Mark on for a while. We get so many people who are dying to find out more about Mark and what he does and how he's become such a legend. I've had the opportunity of working with Mark as we've been out at different trade shows and booths and things. And the great thing about Mark is he's got a ton of energy, and his knowledge, for me, the exciting part is it's all self-taught. So Mark, congratulations on absolutely everything you're doing. I'm super, super excited to have you.
Thanks.
Today, what we wanted to spend some time talking about is the idea as far as helping people understand an onboarding sequence. And what I mean by that is, for those of you guys who have gone through ClickFunnels, one of the things you're going to find, and we actually are done a ton of studies recently with regard to stick rates. Anytime you have a product, especially a membership site or anything like that, the stick rates are really some of your most important things that you need to consider. So for us, being a SaaS company where we have monthly revenue coming in for our customers, the real key for us is trying to find out, how do you get a person to stick one more month or 2 more months? Or how do you get them to convert from a 14-day free trial to a paid trial? So one of the things that Russell added about, what's it been, Mark, about 3 months ago? 3-4 months ago?
It's actually been longer than that, probably since March or April.
Wow, so 6 months ago, basically. What we ended up doing was what we refer to as our Ignite Your Funnel program. And so this is set up for a 21-day program. And again, for those of you guys who've gone through ClickFunnels in the last 6 months, you've already gone through the program. And what it does is basically helps people take little tiny bits of information and to do them. Because the problem you have with most membership sites, for those of you who are familiar with Stu McLaren's most recent launch with Tribe, his big thing is trying to make sure you get people to stick and, most importantly, consume your content. We had Alex Mandozian out here just recently kind of going through the same type of stuff with the importance of understanding that extra month. So you're going to find for most of the membership sites, they tend to have about a 3 to 4 month stick rate. And that fourth or that fifth month is really almost a 20 to 25% increase in revenue for you. And so I wanted to kind of spend some time talking about the stick rates and how that works, but most importantly, what we've been able to do utilizing Mark's skill set to really increase revenue, but more importantly, consumption for our clients. So by the time you get to day 4 or lesson number 4, you get introduced to what we refer to as ClickStart. And ClickStart is the main thing I want Mark to spend some time talking about, is exactly what ClickStart is and how the funnel actually works. So Mark, if you don't mind, let's kind of just dive right into basically what happens. So I'll set the stage here. They get the email on day 4. Russell's talking about ClickStart and then gives them a link to do what?
Yeah, so basically, brief overview, I guess, of what's going on is they get the email to Ignite Your Funnel day 4, and then, there's a lesson in there about a bunch of different things. And I think that there's actually links on other days as well, but there's a link on that page to invite them to attend a demo webinar, right, where they can learn more about ClickFunnels and how to apply it to their own business. And so they go to a page where they can select from specific dates and times. And I think right now, we're running close to 4 or 5 of these demo webinar sessions each day. And these are live demos with real people. So it's not an automated webinar. Right now we have 2 guys who are running these, and they work together and they kind of alternate days and times that they're running these, and they work really well together and kind of help each other out with each one. And so what they're doing is they're on there and they're presenting, what ClickFunnels is, how it can work for different business types, and then showing you, the value of a funnel, right? And so if someone goes on there, let's just say a chiropractor who has a chiropractic business, they'll show them how a funnel is going to benefit them in a chiropractic business. And these are typically small, I don't want to say webinar, but it's I guess you could say it's a call, with anywhere from 5 to maybe 20 at the most people on them. And so it is limited. And so and they do that on purpose so that way they can keep it more intimate, right? Where people can actually ask questions. Because if there's too many people, then they can't let anybody talk really, because otherwise it just gets out of control. And so they're actually able to answer people's questions about ClickFunnels, and they're able to present, what ClickFunnels is, what it does, what it can do for them. And then at the end, there's a sales pitch to invite them to sign up for the ClickStart program. And the ClickStart program, they get funnel hacks as part of that with all of the training. And, so it's the entire funnel hacks package and 6 months of the ClickFunnels Edison suite. So that itself is valued, around $1,800. And not to mention all the training they get as well. So they're stacking, they're doing the value stack, right? And they're showing them the value of each training and the 6 months of the Edison suite. And then they also get 5 1-hour sessions along with a 30-minute welcome call with a coach. And so, the value of that alone is very high, but they get all of that for $29.97. So just shy of $3,000. So it's a $3,000 investment. And basically the idea behind it is to help people who want to jumpstart their learning with ClickFunnels even more. And I've even had people tell me that, they say, look, I could probably figure this out on my own, but I just want to accelerate it, and move faster. And so they get the one-on-one sessions where we walk them through a very specific set of things where they can set up their own funnel. So they're using their own business, and we're helping them and guiding them through the process. So it's not a done for you program. They're still doing the work. We give them assignments, and we kind of check their work and give them feedback and things like that, but walk them through so that they can learn how to essentially use the software and then replicate that for any additional funnels they build in the future. And so the goal for each client is that at the end of the 5 sessions, they'll have at least one fully functioning funnel. I've had people who have finished 3 funnels because they just put in the extra work while they were going. But that's kind of the general synopsis of what they get with the ClickStart program and the process that they go through when they sign up.
I love that. And again, what you basically heard as Russell's voice came on was me trying to find out what day it starts on. So I know it starts on at least day 3. The main reason I wanted to kind of mention this to those guys who are listening as far as two things. One is, how do you implement something like this into your business? And then 2, for those people who are trying to find out the best way of implementing and getting going, the real big thing we run across all the time, and Mark and I literally were just talking about this before we started the podcast, and that is, you have to understand you either have time or money. And the one thing that's always replenishable, and that is money. Time is not. And I think it's been so fun for me to see all the success, Mark, that you're having with the people who you work with, because these are people who, could they do it themselves? Yes. But all they need is someone whose accountability is so huge. And you just do such an awesome job of making sure they're accountable, making sure they're getting things done. And the success rate that we've had with our ClickStart program has been huge. And I think, again, it's hats off to you completely, Mark, because of the way you're able to work with these people, helping them understand what needs to get done, and then most importantly, motivating them to make sure they actually do get things done in a timely manner. So again, I'm super, super excited to have you on today. The other thing I want to make sure we talk about real quick here, guys, and that is, understand that if you have a business where you've got something where people are not being able to actually use the software or use your product, you have to get them to consume it. And for us, the consumption of ClickFunnels has been the greatest thing that we attribute to our success with ClickFunnels, is how many people actually use the software. Again, we've got over 22,000 people using ClickFunnels right now on a monthly basis. And for us, our growth has all come because of things like this. again, one of the things, if you guys don't know, you probably have seen Mark's picture come up on every time you log into ClickFunnels or to your account. Mark is the guy who has been highly instrumental, if not the guy, who basically has created all of our content in the back end, training people, which helps qualifies him that much more for what he's actually doing right now for our ClickStart program. So Mark, if you don't mind, give people some idea as far as a little bit of your background here so people understand where you're coming from and why you're such an asset to our team.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. I mean, I come from a long line of entrepreneurs, I guess you could say. um, and, uh, and and so my grandfather ran businesses. My dad has always had kind of his side hustle, I guess you could say. And so even when I've always been just looking for opportunities and ideas and things like that. And so when I was still young and trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life, I had no clue about internet marketing. You know, I used the internet to send emails and things. I mean, this was before Facebook even came about, right? And which I'm so glad I got married before YouTube and Facebook were big, so I didn't have to do some big elaborate proposal to my wife. But you know, and so I got started in kind of my entrepreneurial journey, I guess you could say, in real estate. And so I was in Southern California, and I had some friends who were doing real estate, and this was in 2006. And so the market was hot. I think California probably had the hottest market in the nation, next to like Florida and Texas, you know. And so in the small town that I was in, where it was actually probably the least expensive real estate, houses were still going for $400,000 and $500,000. And so I had friends who were like, "Oh, all you have to do is you just kind of walk down the street, and if someone wants to sell their house, you put a sign in front of it, and it's sold the next day, and you make a $30,000 commission." And I was like, "Wow, that sounds great." And so I went through and I got my real estate license. Realized it's a little bit harder than that. Realized it got a lot more harder than that when the market crashed soon after, and realized I kind of needed to actually do some work, right? And so I was kind of looking to see where I could utilize, and market myself, where that in a way that wasn't already saturated. This was at a time when I went through my real estate training, people were like, they were telling us, go and put door hangers on houses in neighborhoods, go walk neighborhoods and do this kind of thing. And I'm just like, that just sounds stupid. And so I started looking to the internet to market myself as a real estate agent. And there was hardly anybody at that time who was using the internet. There was a couple of companies who were promoting these kind of cookie cutter real estate websites for like $5,000. And so I was like, I'm just going to do this on my own. I'm going to figure it out. And so that's kind of been what I do all along, is I'm just going to figure it out. That's kind of my go-to thing. And so that's actually what got me into internet marketing. I decided I liked internet marketing a lot more than I liked real estate, and made the jump. And for a long, for a long time, I was working and doing kind of just straight e-commerce sales. And so we'd have, different products that we would come up with. We would kind of scour the internet, just kind of like prowling and waiting for the next hot trend. You know what I mean? Like those penny skateboards, they became hot for a minute.
I remember those.
And so we'd find a manufacturer in China, and then we'd put them up on like a WooCommerce site or a BigCommerce site or something like that. Something that we could set up quickly, run some traffic, and test it out. If it worked, then we would order more inventory, and if it didn't, then we'd can the project. And so we did that with a lot of products, lots of supplements, beauty products, anything that Dr. Oz mentioned. And then we actually started getting clients who wanted us to do this for them. And so there were retail clients, and one time we had a client who basically had about 100 different locations in Canada, and they were like, "Can you get us this product? Can you get us this product?" And so we would do that. And so essentially what we were doing is just kind of like starting and building new businesses and then setting them on autopilot. And so, but the thing, the tough thing with when you're doing trending products is trends die, right?
Of
And
course.
so you always have to, you kind of have to always be on the lookout for the next trend. And so that's actually how I came across ClickFunnels. Was I was in some internet marketing groups, and I heard people mentioning ClickFunnels, and I was like, all right, I'm going to check this out. And so I started using it and setting up funnels for some of the products we were selling, and just kind of digging in and learning how to use it. And a little did I realize that at that time, ClickFunnels had only been around for a couple of months, and and so using the system, and then they sent out an email, said that they were hiring, and I was like, yeah, this seems like a cool company. I'm gonna check it out. And so I applied and ended up I started working with the support team, and then on the support team it was kind of the same thing. Like I was saying before, I always like to try and figure stuff out. And so I noticed, on the support team, I was answering a lot of the same questions, and so I would go to the support docs, and there wasn't an article there, so I'd say, okay, I don't see an article, so I'm just going to create one. And so I just started doing that, so that way I didn't have to keep sending the same answer to people over and over. I could say, okay, here's an article, you know, and so the support desk kind of grew that way, and then ended up actually just being put in charge of it. And they said, all right, cool, you're going to do that now. And with that, becoming the head of customer education, and with that, the ClickStart program. Essentially, it's educating customers, but on a more on a one-on-one basis. So that's kind of the history there.
No, I think that's awesome. I think one of the things people have to understand about Mark is Mark's a guy who spends a ton of time learning and implementing, and then has a skill set to be able to make things extremely easy. Once he's been able to go through all the techie stuff, take all the tech language out and explain it in very, very common, easy to learn terms.
That's what I tried to do anyway.
I do a great job of it. I think we've had a ton of people making mention of how much they appreciate that. And I really want to kind of spend time focusing on the ClickStart app process here for people. We've made mention of it already, as far as I want you to kind of consider different ways that you can implement something like that, or a stick strategy into your own business. But the other thing is, for those people who are finding themselves stuck or not able to move forward at the pace they want to, I would highly recommend that you really consider or take a look at the ClickStart program. Primarily, and again, the main reason I wanted you to have Mark on the call, for one, he's a wealth of knowledge, but the other thing is I want to make sure you guys connect with him. I want to make sure that as you guys are if you're considering possibly doing the ClickStart program, that you understand Mark's motive behind this is to get you up and running as fast as humanly possible. And what I mean by that is we have a lot of people who get started and life just happens. If you're one of those people, you know exactly what I'm talking about, to where you've got all these great intentions and one thing's happened. In fact, classic example is my own life. I'm sitting there, I've got a product I'm supposed to be working with for my wife, and there's always other things that seem to come up where I haven't been able to finish everything that I need to get done for her. And the reason I mention that is, if you're finding yourself in that same situation, I would really highly recommend that you take a look at the ClickStart program. Mark, what's the easiest way for them to actually access that?
So the easiest way is demo.clickfunnels.com/schedule. I believe I have the link saved. Let me. Cool. Demos, plural, demos.clickfunnels.com/schedule. And so, I mean, if you don't get if the link isn't right, or if you type it in wrong, you can always message our support team and they'll give you the link as well. But that's the best place to, get signed up for a demo. And it's kind of funny, because talking about the process behind ClickStart is you really don't see this process very often in any of our other products. You see Russell does a lot of his live webinars for Funnel Hacks. There's the recorded webinars. But with this one-on-one kind of, or not one-on-one, but the group where where you can actually comment and talk. You don't see a lot of that. But this was all actually Russell's idea. I don't know, were you around when he was kind of going through and formulating all of this?
I remember that very well, actually.
He's actually very picky about how this runs. He's very specific in how he wants this to be run, because we'll come up with things like, oh, hey, can we try this? And he's like, no. And he kind of shuts it down, and so, because it's a very specific thing, and I want to say he modeled it after something he learned from Dan Kennedy. if I remember correctly, or someone, one of his early mentors or something like that. And it's something you just don't see a lot of, but it's working. I mean, I don't know exact numbers right off the top of my head, but I mean, it's a profitable program, and it's beneficial to the people who are going through it as well. And so we have multiple ClickStart coaches, including myself. We have the sales guys who are selling it, and it's a very profitable program where people come through and they get to ask their questions and get that personal experience instead of just sitting in front of a screen and someone talking at them. They can actually ask their questions, and then the sales guys will follow up with them as well. So I mean, there's some people who attend these demo webinars and then they don't sign up for a month later or something like that. And so it is more of a sales approach to selling this instead of just completely automated, right? And so I mean, we do have where they can just go to an order form and sign up, right? We don't want to get in the way of our customers, the ones who are ready. But yeah, I mean, and it's working. It's working really well. The sales guys, they tweak their presentation, and they'll go through and they'll change some things. I was just talking to one of them on Saturday night. I went to the Boise State football game, and they were there. And so we were talking about their presentation, and at one point they actually they had me create a video kind of talking about the ClickStart program so that they could show people and they would become more familiar with me, and so so that way it's not just them talking the whole time too. And so they said they added that to their presentation. So it was the whole presentation was live, but then they had a recording of me that they played. And they said it actually brought their conversions down.
No, that's again, guys, that's the kind of stuff that I hope you're getting as you listen to this podcast. Is we try to tell you the stuff that's working and that stuff that's not. So if it didn't work for us, test it on your side, see if it does.
Well, it was funny because afterwards my wife said, "Did that make you feel bad when they said that?" I said, "No, not at all." And she's like, "That was kind of mean." I was like, "No, it's not. It just didn't work." It's like I'm not going to take it personal. It's just, and they even told me that. So after that, they actually had Russell do a video, and they had Russell on there, and that didn't work either. It converted better than mine, but not as good as not having the recorded video. And so what it was, they came to figure out is just it was too much of a disconnect, where the people on the webinar are so used to them, and then all of a sudden they're playing a video of someone else who hasn't even really been introduced, and so it's just too much of a disconnect, too much going on, and so they just removed any extra people from the demo, and so they've even tested. So they used to do them on their own, where they would just do them completely separate, and then they did one together, and on that one where they did it together and they had a little back and forth, it actually converted way higher than anything else they ever done, and so they that's why they really work together on a lot of it, and so. It's just constantly, split testing, right? Just testing and finding out new ways, or maybe testing things, see if they work or if they don't work, and that's what they're doing. And I don't even think we're running any paid traffic for this.
No,
it's all, it's all to our. Well, we have a great list, of people to market to, right? All the ClickFunnels users, 22,000 people, and. I don't know the exact number, but we probably have at any given time probably over 100 people going through the program simultaneously.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and so it could be more than that. I'm just kind of throwing out a number, but yeah, it's great, and it's going really well, and we've had really good feedback, and people are excited, and typically going through the program, I like to see people do about one session a week, maybe two. And what I found, because I've actually had, in the very beginning, I had a couple people who wanted to do all 5 sessions in 5 days. And since then, I've probably had a couple more people that do that. It never turns out well because there's so much work that needs to be done between sessions that they're just not ready. Most people have if they're coming into this program, they have a business that they're running that they still have to continue running. And so, they don't necessarily have 40 hours a week to dedicate to just the program, And so 1 to 2 sessions a week works out really well. If someone really is insistent on accelerating, we will do it. And I have seen people who do that. It can be stressful for them. So,
well, I appreciate that. Well, guys, as we wrap things up here real quick, I just want to make sure cover 2 things with you. One, first and foremost, is you need to make sure you have your own stick strategies in whatever type of business you might be running, especially if it's a continuity style format, whether it's a membership site, whether it's a SaaS company, software, coaching program, whatever you might be doing. If you're trying to get people to stick another month or 2, I really encourage you to take a look at our igniteyourfunnel.com series. And again, just / day 1, day 2, all the way through to 21. And you kind of get a handle on that. As I was taking a look at, the other thing I want to make sure you understand is we are all about taking action and making things happen as quickly as possible. And if you're in a situation where you've been sitting there trying to find out what to do next with ClickFunnels, I highly recommend get on the demo, go through it, and then obviously my biggest encouragement is that you spend the time with Mark. There's no one who's going to help be more in your corner, making sure that you're getting stuff done, making things happen than he is. Wealth of knowledge. He's actually my go-to guy here in the office whenever I have any question. I literally just say, Mark, help. And he's always there to help. And he's a fantastic, fantastic resource. So as we wrap things up here, Mark, anything else you want to say?
Well, just kind of piggybacking on what you were already saying, the important thing is to get stuff done. I had posted on Facebook, I don't know, a while back on my own personal profile that, there's 2 types of people. And I see this in the ClickStart program. I see it with everyone that I talk to. There's people who get stuff done and people who don't. And honestly, like the people who get stuff done, they may not get it done right the first time, but they're still working, right? They're still hustling. And that's the important thing, is just taking action. And so if there's anything that you can take away from this, it's just take action. No matter if don't perseverate on the things, the little details, trying to get everything just perfect before you launch. Just launch, just put it out there. Just put your idea out there, put something out there. I had something earlier this year that I tested out just to see how it would work. I put it out there, launched it in 2 days, an entire business and funnel in 2 days, and it completely tanked. But I did it, you know what I mean? and I learned a lot from it. And so I like doing that because it's like, okay, I know what works, I know what doesn't. And I think a lot of times, just take action, just get it done. Some people are afraid to spend $20, $50, $100 on Facebook ads to test something out, but just do it. You just got to get it done and take action. That's the biggest thing. And so, I mean, if that means for someone listening, joining the ClickStart program, then, do it. If it means just setting up your Facebook ads and launching what you have, just do it. It may tank, but you got to get it done.
I love it. Well, Mark, thanks again. We'll see you real soon, like in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Funnel Hacker Radio Podcast. If you'd like to be notified anytime we release a new episode, just subscribe over at funnelhackerradio.com. In addition to that, we'd love to send you a free gift. You can find that free gift at funnelhackerradio.com/free trial. One last thing is we love giving away cars. So if you'd like access to a free dream car, all you have to do is go to funnelhackerradio.com/dream car and you'll get all the details. Thanks again for listening.